Hello. I've got my speech on my Kindle because I got it last week, so I want to see how it works, so please bear with me. So when I was approached to write the speech, I was quite stuck for the most part because I didn't really know what to write. I was stopped in my own right there. And so I started with just saying that writer's block is stopping me. There's an inability to write the speech. How do I start talking about depression? It's something that we do hear a lot more about these days, but it's often easy to think about as happening to someone else, or when you experience it, that it's just a phase, that you just, you're just a little bit off right now and that it's not real. But depression is something that can, quite insidiously, hold you back. It can stop you. And regardless of whether you're a modern woman or man, or where you're from, or how much you're earning, or what your background is, it's something that can affect you or someone you love. Now, about 18 months ago, I suffered quite a serious depression. It was around the same time that I was on the board of a student organisation that was really great, and I really enjoyed being a part of that, and I was studying at the same time, and there was just a lot going on, and that's kind of like the way I like it, but at the same time, I was just exhausted and sad for no reason, and often at the end of the day, I would find myself at home, sitting at my desk, and I would be crying, and I would have no idea why. And there were it was just this weird feeling where there were so many things to do, people to deal with, deadlines, so many deadlines, and just stuff that had to get done. And I thrive off the feeling of being under pressure, so I felt that the way that I was feeling was kind of secondary to everything else that I wanted to do. But I just still found it really difficult to do any of it. And I was thrown in this strange territory of being anxious not to let anyone down, not let anyone know how I was feeling, and being simultaneously pulled down by this immense weight that would get heavier and heavier and heavier every day. I didn't want to let anyone know how I was feeling, awful, just all the time, because I didn't want anyone to think that the job that I was doing and the work that I was doing at uni and in my co-curricular kind of pursuits was compromised for it. I was completely mute when it came to articulating what exactly was going on for me because it was so trivial compared to everything else. Because why would anyone want to be burdened with my feelings? Because let's face it, feelings are just so freaking messy. And it's often in these spaces of loneliness, because you're lonely when you feel like this, you're lonely in a crowded room, that it's very difficult to see a way out. And there's this overwhelming sense of inertia and you just can't budge. You're stopped. And you're stopped from being you. For me, it was really weird because my depression meant that I could pretty much do everything as per usual except for look at myself and how I felt. I could do the stuff that I mentioned before as being really difficult. I could still scrape through the deadlines and write essays and reports and so on, but there was just this inertia when it came to addressing how being down all the time was actually an issue in itself. It was an issue for me to look at how I was actually stopped in some other way. And it took this weird kind of intervention of sorts to get me to see the forest for the trees. One day, a really good friend of mine approached me and asked if I was okay, and even after the 15th time that I'd said, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine, in that light and casual way that you can say that you're fine, but you're not really fine, but you don't want to say that you're not fine because you don't want to be a buzzkill, he kind of pointed out that perhaps I wasn't so fine, and that was true. And when someone else identified how I was feeling, it suddenly made it a little bit more real and a little less trivial, and it was a little bit liberating. So I went and sought some help, finally, after many, many months of kind of just being in this bubble of kind of like hell, really. But I was still petrified, and I still thought that it was a massive hassle. It was a hassle to kind of feel this way and not be able to manage it myself. And it was a hassle to also tell other people because I didn't want to have to kind of put people down with that kind of thing. And even if one person knows about how you're feeling, or two people or three people, and you feel a little bit better about it because it does help to talk about it, it doesn't change overnight. You don't just snap out of it, even if you really want to. It's a slow process. It's easy to put on a brave face, and it's easy to dismiss something that's going on inside you and to pretend that everything's fine. Because even though you know that something might be wrong, that something a little bit different is happening in you, and that you're stopped from kind of being 100% you or kind of 100% from liking yourself, it's really difficult to admit that to yourself. And that's what can sometimes hold you back. That's what stops you.